And when you talked about the tipping point in your career where you blew up,
Mm.
you were talking about you made that video about how to study, and I guess the premise of that video was teaching people how to learn better.
Yep.
You've read a lot of books. As it relates to learning,
Yeah.
outside of studying, just
Yeah.
more generally, what tools have you adopted? Because you've read my book and you remember everything, it seems. What tips and tricks have you learned about how to learn better?
Yeah. So essentially the main one is that we learn by testing ourselves rather than by consuming more stuff. Which is a bit counterintuitive. Like when it comes to, if we think about like studying, and then we can kind of broaden it out. Like if it comes to studying, we think that to learn more stuff, I need to get more information into my brain. But what all the evidence says is that no, to learn more stuff, you actually just need to read it once, and then you have to try your best to get it out of your brain. And that feels hard, and it feels tough, and it feels like, oh, I'm an idiot, I don't know enough. But that like desirable difficulty is what allegedly creates the neuronal connections in our brain to make us actually learn something. And so it's similar to working out, like progressive overload. When it's heavy and when it feels hard is when your muscles are actually growing because you've got the stimulus for growth. Equally, when it comes to learning anything, when it feels hard is when there is a stimulus for the neurons to grow, or words to that effect. And so when it comes to studying, if anyone is sort of listening to this, has exams coming up, and they are worried about their grades, the answer is that they're just not testing themselves enough. The more you test yourself, the better grades you'll get. And this therefore applies also to every other thing that we're trying to learn. So, if I was learning how to play You've Got a Friend in Me on the guitar the other day. And if I'm just playing through the first 2 verses of it that I know already, I'm not learning anything. But as soon as I try doing the thing that feels hard, at that point, it's like the harder it feels, the more I'm learning. And then we sleep, and then the connections get solidified. So it's that's kind of the main concept. Basically, test yourself more, whatever that thing is. And the second big one in the research is spaced repetition. That anything we learn, whether it's a fact for an exam or a song on the guitar, our memory for it will exponentially decay over time. And the way to make it go into a long-term memory, whatever the skill is to interrupt the forgetting curve at spaced intervals. So maybe you would practice the song on day 1, you'd practice it again on day 2, then on day 5, then on day 25, and then on day 105. And as the intervals lengthen, that is the sort of thing that gets this how to play the song or this fact about medicine or whatever into a long-term memory. And most things around learning can basically be summed up by those 2 things: active recall, i.e. test yourself, and spaced repetition, i.e. space it out over time.